We map the physical value chain and the virtual value chain by looking at how, for example, inbound logistics can be transformed through gathering, organizing, selecting, synthesizing, and distribution of information into new markets. Now this gets kind of ethereal and kind of hard for us to understand until we take apart some case studies to see how this works. But the idea, of course, is that by looking at the information characteristics of physical goods, we're able to then map the information content into potentially new products or new services. Now, the critical differences between a marketplace and a market space have to do with these elements. In a marketplace, the activities are very linear, and you certainly got that idea with the physical value chain. Information is used as a supporting element, not as the product itself. And the focus is on particular lines of business, particular products, whereas in the market space, the virtualness of what is there creates a very non-linear sort of matrix. So we pick and choose the relationships we want. We pick and choose the information that's important to us. Information actually is the product. It's the dominant element of what we have, and the focus of the virtual value chain is on new business and not on existing business. Now, when we start looking at the what is before us with the contrast between the marketplace and the market space, we're confronted with the need for a new sort of business model, a new way of looking at things. And the picture here presents the four decisions or four ways we can take a traditional business model and make it evolve. So we start with extending, and this is where we would be tempted to take kind of our traditional business and apply new business models to it. Expanding would be to add new products or services, maybe entering new geographic areas. Enhancing is to add functionality to goods and services that we already provide. And then exit would be to say we're just going to get out of this market, or we're going to drop a particular good or service. Now, what happens, of course, is that in the virtual value chain business, these markets are created and go away very, very quickly. That's the virtualness of the market. As we start looking at the market space versus marketplace thing, we see that there are three extremely important elements of it. First of all, the content of the transaction is different. The value chain is the content is in the physical value chain, the content is the product. In the virtual value chain, the content of what you're experiencing is information or knowledge. The context is different. The context of buying a pair of shoes involves going to a store and buying a pair of shoes. The context in a virtual value chain involves getting online and creating a virtual relationship between buyer and seller, and creating and consuming a product that way. Finally, the infrastructure that enables the transaction is different. The infrastructure for buying the pair of shoes involves Target or Walmart. The infrastructure that enables the transaction for the virtual value chain is the internet, and the way we consume information is different there. Now, what all of this leads us to understand is that the immediacy of buying things changes. If I can buy things at different times, then the notion of the long tail becomes very tangible. We see here the picture of the long tail. Now, in red there, we have the head of the the buying behavior. So when something's very, very popular, we see that we're selling a whole lot of whatever the product is. But once the popularity wanes, we often would simply discard the rest of the product. But the internet has created the ability for the long tail to exist. And if studies show us that for some markets and in some products, that we can actually sell more of the product over its lifetime in the long tail than we did during its popularity phase in the red head of the tail. So we might see, for example, a popular book on Amazon, and over the lifetime of the book, we might actually sell more of those in the long tail than we did during the most popular time. We see this with some songs on iTunes, for example, that some of the old music that's on iTunes becomes popular again, and we sell it through an alternative distribution channel and make lots of money. The long tail is definitely worth exploring, and the use of information technology is key there. The virtual value chain is a complicated topic because it is virtual, and how it manifests itself in one environment is very different than how it manifests itself in another. But we just take a look at two different models for doing business: Encyclopedia Britannica versus Encarta, and Encarta versus Wikipedia, and we see that the nature of the information contained in each one of those is relatively the same. But one of the things that happens with Wikipedia versus Encyclopedia Britannica is that the information content is updated and changed, and it's updated and changed by a lot of people. So the context is different, the content becomes different, and the infrastructure is different. And that's what market space is all about.